Evo will soon be upon us. And Evo is basically the year's biggest fighting game tournament or series of tournaments and competitions. Period. I think it happens during the summer. I don't follow it that closely. But recently, they announced the games which were going to be prominently featured. And that's kind of important. So they picked out 8 main games. I'll go through these now. We have Tekken 7, Smash Brothers Wii U, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. I think it's called Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Yes.
Then we have Guilty Gear Revelator XR2.
You've ever heard of Guilty Gear?
Yeah, no, I have.
Oh.
I just, that title,
Yeah.
I'm probably mixing words around, but you all know, hopefully, what I'm talking about. Injustice 2, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
I can't believe Melee is still going strong.
It is still going strong. It draws in such big numbers still, and there are still new strategies that are being discovered.
Yeah.
So it really is like an accidental miracle of a game. And considering that it had like the shortest development, or one of the shortest developments of any of the Smash Brothers games, it's insane. So what was missing, what was of course a huge hole, considering it just came out in October, I think, or September. Yeah, September. Was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And the people who run Evo, they don't really have personal gripes, or they don't really let personal feelings go in to determine, what game makes it in. They just pretty much go off of how popular is this game, how many people are playing it, how interested are people to see it at our tournament. And MVCI just didn't make the cut. And they actually took a moment when they had announced all the other games that are going to be there. They took a moment to kind of address that instead of just leaving it as an elephant in the room. So we have, I'm just going to go by these guys' nicknames, Mr. Wizard and Markman. It looks like Mr. Wizard started by saying it was on a slippery slope and it had a lot of competition going forward, and it just kind of fizzled. Not to talk smack on Marvel or anything, it's always been a great game for Evo. It was the main game for 8 straight years, of course, talking about, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, 3. But I don't think people are playing it, and that's the problem. He did say and then Markman went on to Twitter later to further explain things and said it's hard to include a game that doesn't have support. I'm not talking about Capcom because they've supported the most. I'll get back to that later. So before it even launched, Infinite had issues. There was the glaring absence. This is probably the biggest issue. The glaring absence of the X-Men. Any X-Men characters. Just gone. And this, I guarantee you, wasn't Capcom. This was most likely Disney. Because when you think about it, I want to say that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, the original one, I think, came out in 2011 or 2012. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe was well underway at that point. So I don't think that Marvel has any interest in taking out characters that, let's say, their competitors are making movies about. Because that's the problem right now. It's like right now Disney does not want to give, well, now that Fox has been purchased by Disney, it doesn't matter. But at the time that this game was being developed, it was very much well, why should we put X-Men in the game when we're not making X-Men movies? Our competitors are making X-Men movies because they own the rights. So why should we give them any potential boost in ticket sales? We're their competitors. We shouldn't be doing that. And I can kind of see that point from a business standpoint. But when it comes to dealing with creative properties like this, I don't think that's the best decision overall. And it shows in the result. The other complaints about the game is the, presentation. Oh, I won't say that it looks terrible, because it doesn't look terrible. I think characters like X and Zero, while yes, they kind of look like, polished toy cars, they're a little bit too smooth and toyish looking. They're still extremely faithful to the character designs that they're based on. They fixed Chun-Li's face, they fixed Dante's face. They didn't fix Chris Redfield's or Captain America's face. They still look like Captain America looks like a gorilla. Like he looks ridiculously bad.
Did they fix Rocket?
No, they didn't fix Rocket either.
Sweet.
Yeah, Rocket looks much better in the previous game. So you had that. You had a lot of people complain about the presentation. And then the story mode, which they based all of their marketing on, turned out to not be all that good by many people's standards. I haven't played the whole story mode, but I enjoyed what I did play of it. I do own the game. I enjoy it. I think it's another deep fighting game. The other thing that's kind of meh about the game is, with the first Marvel vs. Capcom, it was a two versus two tag team. Then with 2, they moved on to 3. And then with 3, it was still 3 versus 3. This one, it goes back to 2 versus 2. Seems a step backwards. And it is. Now, they did things with the tag system that basically lets you tag in your partner at any point that you want, which was not something that you could do in any of the previous installments. So that was definitely an improvement, and it does a lot to help the experience overall. But the only thing people are seeing is I can only play with two characters at a time. Okay, no thanks. I'll go and keep playing the game that came out 5 years ago. It's basically what I think people made their decision on. So, with these issues, it's a no-brainer that... and then, of course, you had the collector's edition, which was a joke, especially at $200. I mean, come on. I do want to get to the comment by Markman on Twitter when he said that Capcom has been supporting it the most. Capcom may not have control over the X-Men characters not being able to be in it, but they certainly have control over the quality of the game. And when I say quality, the gameplay is there. I'm not talking about the gameplay. I'm talking about the way that it looks. It is a fairly ugly looking game. It doesn't have a strong art style to it. It just kind of looks like your basic Unreal Engine 4 graphics and character models. They could have done better with the story mode. There's so much that they could have done better. And it's that part, those two issues are only Capcom's fault. Nobody else's. And I kind of feel like he's taking a bit of a dig at people who didn't buy the game. I bought the game. I don't blame anyone else who didn't buy it and be like, you're the reason why Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is dead. No. Capcom made a subpar fighting game. one of the genres they're known very well for doing good at. So, if you don't want to buy the game, don't buy the game. Like, it's not you're not the one that I don't blame you for the game's failure, if you want to call it that. So yeah, what do you think of this? I mean, do you think that people kind of ignored this game fairly or unfairly? Do you think that they should have done a better job?
I get what you mean by what it looks like. To me, it kind of looks like a bit more detailed version of like. I could be thinking of the finished product. I could be thinking of maybe some like before the game was released footage. It kind of looks like a more detailed version of like the Disney Infinity characters.
Wow.
Like, more detailed than that, but, like, I feel like they kind of look as smooth as that.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
I mean, some of them look like they're made out of Play-Doh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... Captain America, the Play-Doh gorilla. I've always liked playing as him, but it's just like... What do they do to your face, man? It's, like, all stretched out. Your head is very round-shaped, and... Looks like you took a lot of hits to the face. Like,
it could also just be that I don't think there were any other fighting games that came out recently other than that and Dragon Ball FighterZ.
And Injustice 2 came out. We're still in the first year of that.
Oh, really?
That came out in like March or May or something, somewhere around there.
Well, I mean, like between that.
Oh,
that's had time to like grow,
right?
And that following has been pretty solid.
Tekken, yeah.
Especially since the DLC. I've seen a lot of people like get that game after like some of the DLC characters be released.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of people get into it once like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got added, and I thought it was cool, and I was like, in the DC universe? What?
Hey, they got Hellboy. Why not?
they did get Hellboy. But it is. I don't know. I think between a Marvel fighting game and a DC fighting game, I'd be much more inclined to play a DC fighting game.
Well, that one just has its... So, I'm not really into the Mortal Kombat style of games. I haven't played a new one. But at the same time, like, they have more polish. They have much better presentation. The Injustice 2 story mode, not even just the story mode, just the facial animations are crazy good. They remind me of L.A. Noire. They're that good. Like, and realistic. Like, they beat out some CG films that I've seen. It's incredible what they've accomplished with that game as far as the presentation goes. And then, of course, the weird thing is, though, I mean, when you take count, Capcom only has one game representing them, and that's Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which has taken a long time to get to the point where it feels like it's a complete game. And then 3 of the games are... So we got one Capcom game, 2 Nintendo games, 1 Namco game, and then the other 3 are developed by Arc System Works. So I think Capcom needs to, if they want to still be relevant in the fighting game genre, I really think they need to take things seriously, like Street Fighter, like their crossover games that happen. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was the the big game that came out before Street Fighter V back in 2012. That game also bombed and had horrible support and just came out and was a mess. Thankfully, they've stuck with Street Fighter V and have made it a better game. I don't see them doing that with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because they don't really have full control over what they do with that game. Disney has a lot of the control with that. So, yeah, for all intents and purposes, Marvel probably is dead, but I would not blame people who didn't buy the game or who aren't playing the game. It's just not that interesting. So, don't blame people for buying a not very interesting or good-looking game.